Welcome everyone to Comics from the Multiverse, episode 513. I am Peter, and joining me as always is Matt.
Hey, what's up?
This is a DC Comics podcast. We get together and we talk about the DC books we read this week. Coming up on today's show, we have Absolute Batman issue 22, Absolute Catwoman issue 2, Barbara Gordon Breakout issue 3, Green Lantern Corps issue 18, Supergirl 15, Clayface, Celebrity Dirt issue 1, and The Fury of Firestorm issue 4. That's what's coming up on the show. Plus, we're also recording a book for Patreon. Gotham Central issue 1 will be out on Patreon sometime in the next few days. So look forward to that if you're over there. I'll tell you more about that at the end of the episode, though. So, yeah, that's what's coming up. Now, actually, before we get into anything else, because this is normally when I say, hey, how was your week, Matt? I'll do that in a minute. So, update for next week is there will not be an episode of the show next week, which I know is probably disappointing given we had to miss a week last month. However, this is actually the convenient part of this, is that we are still going to do next week's episode. We're just going to do it 2 weeks later, which I know sounds confusing, but basically there's a week 5 at the end of this month, which we would have been taking off anyway. And since Matt can't record next week, we're just going to do all of next week's books on the 5th week of the month, plus whatever 1 or 2 books from week 5 we actually want to check out as well. So it all works out. So it's kind of weird. No show next week. Week after, just that week's books, which is week 4, and then week 5 is going to be all of week 3's books. So just wanted to warn you, so this is not a last minute thing. Matt can't record next week, and instead of making alternate plans, I was like, wait, we were going to take a week off at the end of the month anyway. Let's just do next week's show then. So
He did. He had a eureka face and everything.
I did.
Yep.
It was a light bulb going off over my head. So yeah, it means you have to wait a couple of weeks for next week's books, but altogether nothing will really be lost in the or left behind, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So I just wanted to get that up front. I'll remind you again at the end of the episode, but yeah, just be prepared for that next week. We will be taking a week off, and then all those books will be on the week after next week. Or the week after, 2 weeks from week 5. I'll just call it week 5. It's easier. Sounds better come out the mouth. Anyway, Matt, how was your week?
Hot, busy, stressful, but there were comics, so that's good. Yeah, no, not much. Very uneventful outside of starting Ice Cream Man, the comic from the team that's doing Dead Man. And I do feel it's way more up your alley. They are individual stories. The only kind of reoccurring character is the titular Ice Cream Man. But yeah, they're standalone stories, kind of Twilight Zone style, to where there's like a moral to them, and like a lesson to be learned. First 2 are pretty solid. So yeah, so I read those before jumping into this week's books. Yeah.
No, it was hot here as well. I mean, not like miserable hot, because a few weeks ago there was that like 2-day period that was actually torture. It wasn't torture this week. It was just on that threshold of being pretty warm but not being uncomfortably so, which is just the right amount. So not too bad in that case. But no, I've just been selling old video games to try and help fund a new computer. So I've been doing lots of posting this week.
Gotcha.
And that's pretty much outside of the usual, watching movies, recording reviews, and all the usual shtick that I usually get up to. So, nothing super exciting to report. But hey, if you're on our Patreon, I will say that one of the shows I do with David every month, Extra Reels, where we review terrible movies, like some of the worst things ever. I probably mentioned we did Catwoman for this past month, the Halle Berry movie. This week we recorded the next one of those, and it was for a movie called Loquisha, and it is hilariously offensive and just downright terrible. So that's the headspace I'm coming into this week with, is I'm trying to still get over watching Loquisha. So anyone on the Patreon can get the full context of that when that goes out during the month of July. But
so anytime I see a movie pop up like that on the old letterbox, I'll know now, because I saw that one come across and I didn't click on it. I'm like, huh, I wonder what this is. Now I know it's probably for extra reels.
Could you not tell by my 1 out of 10 rating that we were dealing with some serious quality?
Maybe it was. It might have been on David's because I do follow David on Letterboxd. This is the one that I might have seen. But yes.
I don't think he rated it much higher than I did. To be if he is on, is he on Letterboxd? I don't even know if he is on Letterboxd.
How did I see it then? Did someone else watch it and that's why I saw it?
Possibly.
Yeah, that could be it too.
But regardless, that was the thing. I also had to watch Tron Ares, so yeah. Anytime I'm watching more Jared Leto, the less happy I'm being, frankly.
I feel terrible because I didn't hate it. I had a good time. Also, I saw it for free, and they put me in a Dolby theater with like a great projection and sound, and they had free popcorn. So it was just a all around good time for me. Do I remember much of it? No.
No, of course you wouldn't. The characters have no depth whatsoever. It's like surface level. The rules of the world make very little sense. I
also was upset that they still try to make it like Tron Legacy had happened, which if you try to fit that into all the boxes, nothing makes sense.
No, it doesn't. No, so, I'd have to spoil the end of Tron Legacy to say why it doesn't make sense, but yeah, it doesn't make any sense. Tron Legacy was also really mediocre, though. Ares was a little bit worse, but I'll this might ruffle some feathers, but there's not actually any good Tron movies. Like, they are just okay at best, right? It was never that good. It like the original was pretty for its time because it was doing weird visuals that no one was used to. The story's boring. It's a boring ass movie.
Yeah,
you can fight me on it if you want, but I ain't backing down.
I'm not gonna fight on that one. I quite like Legacy though. I thought it was a fun time. Great score. I think the direction was pretty solid. But yeah. So going into Ares, I didn't want to because anything that stars Leto, I am very apprehensive of. Yeah. Again, I remember parts of it. I feel like I remember the villain. I think. But yeah. October was a long time ago.
Oh, it must have been a great movie. Can't even remember who the villain was. That's saying something.
I do remember the light cycle thing outside in the real world. So that was kind of fun.
I thought all the action had like a weird pacing. Like everything felt slowed down in a really weird way. I don't know. Lacking momentum.
Who directed it?
Some dude named Joachim something or other. I don't know.
That's right. That's right.
No one I can tell you. I can tell you anything else he's done.
Yeah. Because I was like, it's definitely not Kaczynski.
Oh no, wait. I think it's the guy who did the 5th Pirates of the Caribbean. I think when we looked it up when we were reviewing it, that was like the one kind of recognizable title.
Yes. Joachim Roning.
There you go.
Yeah,
that's the guy. So, he's the culprit. Put him on trial.
Yep. Yes, it was. Oh, and Maleficent, the second one.
Not even the first Maleficent, the sequel to Maleficent that no one remembers exists.
No, watching Tron Ares, I was like, oh, I hope Pete never sees this. He's not gonna like it because I knew your stance on Tron before. We've had that discussion before about both Tron movies at that point.
Yeah, I mean, I don't feel passionate. I don't feel like it's not hatred. It's just apathy, more than anything.
Yeah, but you going to the theater to go see Tron Ares, definitely I feel like would have brought out some.
Oh, I'd have been pissed.
Some kind of feelings.
Luckily, David took one for the team and arranged his wedding to take place that weekend, so we didn't have to do Tron Ares when it came out. We got to just wait until we could do it at home.
He's telling his bride to be, look, we got to do it this weekend in October because Jared Leto's releasing a movie and we cannot.
Yeah. And to those of you who say, why don't you do it the following week? I say, shut up. Shut up.
Yep.
All right, let's get into things, shall we? Kindle rankings, the list formerly known as the ComiXology Top 10. Let's have a look. See. Matt's going to have a guess as to what the first few DC books are. We'd like to. I'm
going to go out the gate. Absolute Batman, Absolute Catwoman. And then for the third spot for DC, logically, I feel like it's Barbara Gordon Breakout because it's kind of a big, but my heart wants me to say Fury of Firestorm because that's what I'm going to say is the third spot.
Well, I shall now reveal the results of this. Number 1, Absolute Batman.
Cake.
Number 2, Absolute Catwoman.
Pie.
Number 3, Transformers.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
But we still got DC.
Yeah. You're still in play. That's like non-DC books don't interfere with your guesses. Number 4, Fury of Firestorm.
Oh! I'm the smartest man alive.
Number 5 is Uncanny X-Men. Number 6 is Barbara Gordon Breakout. 7 is Mask. 8 is Daredevil. 9 is Ben 10. That's something the kids like, I think. Number 10 is G.I. Joe. So a few non-DC Marvel books there in the top 10 this week.
If by kids, those kids that watch Ben 10 are now in their mid to late 20s. So
I mean, I believe it, but like I was already too old when Ben 10 was a thing. So to me, it's a kids thing. Even though the people who grew up with it as a kids thing, probably are in their 20s now.
I remember seeing the toys at Target because they were always a ton of Ben 10 stuff. Like it was not moving the toys about 10 years ago or so. So that's about as familiar with it I am.
It's been 10 years.
It was on Kids WB, I think. Was it Kids WB? They have that art style. Very, very similar to the...
There's Cartoon Network on the comic, so I'm assuming Cartoon Network.
So there's Cartoon Network. But yeah, very much of that style from like Batman Beyond, the animated series, that type of stuff.
Yeah. You missed my joke there where I said it's been 10 years. Been 10.
I heard it. I was just trying to help you out by not spotlighting it.
It's been 10. Anyway, DC books outside the top 10. We got Green Lantern Corps is at number 11, Supergirl's at 13, Emperor Aquaman's at 15, Clayface new book is at 16, and then that's pretty much it for the DC books. So not a bad showing, all things considered. I mean, 3 DC books were higher than any Marvel book, and then Barbara Gordon was higher than everything but Uncanny X-Men from Marvel, so yeah, there you go. Pretty straightforward Kindle rankings this week, but that is that. So we can move in to a bit of news, actually, before we get to the books. Not a ton, not a big thing here, but DC did put out their Comic-Con, their San Diego Comic-Con kind of schedule. Not too much to say here, really. Just the there's a couple of panels for like the next Cape Crusader animated show and the next Superman animated show, the season 3 of that one, My Life with Superman, I think it's called. I forget. But the panels that relate to the comics where we'll probably get announcements, it looks like there's about 4 of them that are probably going to reveal stuff. So one is DC's Gotham City, which as you assume is all the Bat family related books and announcements with that. There's one that's just called DC's Next Level, which presumably is the next level books that are coming up that aren't tied to those specific corners. And then we have a DC's Metropolis and Beyond panel, which would be all the super books and whatever's left over by that point that didn't fit into the other panels. And the 4th one is the Absolute Universe panel, which I assume any absolute announcements would be coming from there. So there's 4 potential panels where new comics or new teams or stuff like that might get announced. So yeah, there's usually a couple of things at least from the SDCC, if not a ton.
They still treat it like a time to make noise.
Yeah,
which is good.
So there you go. I don't really have too much to say. I mean, there's big paragraphs here on the article for it saying some of the writers and stuff that will be at some of these panels, but
let me guess, Josh Williamson.
What? I can't believe that for a second. No. The Batman panel, for example, has got G. Willow Wilson from Poison Ivy, Matt Fraction from Batman, Tom Taylor from Detective, Tate Brombell from Batgirl, Christopher Cantwell from Batman Bad Seeds, Gotham Central, Scott Snyder from Absolute Batman. It's the exact list of names you'd expect to be there, given who's writing these books right now. So, cool. There you go. So just a quick little bit there. But we can get into the books. So we'll kick off with Absolute Batman issue 22. Scott Snyder writing with Werther Dell'Edera on the art. So this issue has kind of a fun like horror movie thing almost that I enjoyed, which is as Batman and Harley are kind of sneaking around, you've got like Jason Todd in his mech suit, kind of like almost like a Terminator, just walking around and looking around corners with his searchlight, trying to find any intruders, and he's determined to find Batman, even though Dick's saying it's time to close up for the night and go home. He's like, no, must have Batman, must have blood. I'm Jason Todd, I suck.
Yep, I commend Snyder for keeping that one piece from mainline DC. That Jason Todd as Robin sucks. So
oh yes, he absolutely does. The big thing here though is that Harley's trying to tell Batman about her past, and we get these flashbacks to her past, which revolves largely around her relationship with her mother and to an extent her father. When she was in this crooked house when she was a kid, and her mother's a scientist who worked for the Grimm Corporation, and wanted out but seemed to change over time. And there's some big reveals that kind of come by the end of this series of flashbacks. I guess the first one that I think people are going to bring up that I think is actually weirdly predictable is the fact that Grimm, the Joker, is Harley's dad. Like, it just something about the way she's like, oh, I've never met my father, but I started writing to him and he's going to come and see me. I was just like, oh, it's going to be Grimm. That's going to be the reveal here.
I just was wondering with how they're going to reveal it, right? Because the way that mom was like, so her mom had to distance herself from the Grimm Corporation because she didn't agree with what they were doing, but she was trying to find ways to go against them. And I was like, huh. And then part of that was they had to leave Dad. So Dad wasn't dead. So I was like, how are we gonna reveal that Grimm is the dad?
Yeah.
Because they made it sound like he was just another scientist or whatever.
Yeah. The way they build up to it is that she starts getting worried about her mum's like mental health. Like, oh, she's starting to act weird and she's getting super secretive and she's like working too much and not really caring about her. So she's basically like, hey, oh, Dad's going to come and help and maybe help Mum out because she's having this breakdown or whatever it is, and it ends up being Grimm. And I will say that this does actually kind of like justify why her name is Harley Quinn a lot more, just because it's like, oh, they've built into this idea that the mum named her Harley Quinn after a character. Like, it was kind of like built into why she was named that, rather than just the coincidence of being named Harleen Quinzel that can turn into Harley Quinn. So that's one of the benefits of writing in a universe where like all the things that you're going to do and like all these names are already going to exist, so you can think of reasons for them this time round as opposed to just happenstance.
And this isn't the first time Snyder's done that, because back during New 52 we found out that Riddler's name really wasn't Edward Nygma, right? Yes, the Enigma ended up being a name for his actual given name. So I like that Snyder's like, this is kind of goofy. It's a little bit too spot on. How can we do this? And then I also again, when it's not handled this well, it can be really clumsy. But the reason for her mallet, it was like a coping mechanism from her mom to deal with, being afraid of whatever was in the closet or the shadows.
And it wasn't a real mallet. She gave her like a toy mallet. It's like, hey, you can hit your, ghost that you're scared of with this kind of thing.
And then so, as she becomes Harley Quinn, the Red Hood, in absolute Gotham, she carries around this mallet because that is her monster breaker. So I did like that. That was a fun little addition to her origin. But the back and forth too between her and Bruce, really, really good, because I feel like...
What, you mean him just not wanting to listen to her the entire time?
Well, there's that, and then the way that she has to carry all the dialogue there, and it doesn't forget that Bruce now has become isolated, right? Like, he doesn't have his friends. He's not trying to do, he's still trying to be Batman, but he's lost the Bruce Wayne part of himself. Yet Harley's here giving her, pouring her heart and soul into why she is doing all of this. You got to keep your identity, right? She's keeping who she is because she's not going to let Grimm take that from her. And I like that, showing, how don't become this. This is what he wants, right? He wants you to just become the Batman. So...
Yeah, the other big thing, though, the reveal with the house, right? Why they moved to this house is because it actually has a secret underground connection to Arkham, these underground tunnels where these experiments are being done. And they tease a few things down here, actually. I think we see like a version of Tweedledee and Tweedledum.
Yep.
And then more interestingly is a version of the Calendar Man that dies, and then like a new Calendar Man comes out of his stomach, all covered in blood. Like, I don't know what's going on there. It's wild. I like it. I'm into it, whatever it is. But I mean, he's resurrecting.
And he keeps the traditional Calendar Man look of the bald head with the Roman numerals going around.
Is this like
it makes for this super creepy image of the corpse, and then the new one coming out, and you just see the calendar around the head. Yeah. Ooh.
Is it like a seasonal thing, maybe, you think, where it's like, oh, on Easter he's reborn, because that's what Easter's about? I don't know. I'm just trying to think of something.
Maybe. or it's like baby New Year to Father Time, right? Like at the beginning of the year by December. So, which means he really needs to do his crimes in the middle of the year. That's when he's at his most virile.
Yeah. But I mean, to be fair, he looks pretty menacing coming out of the body, so I feel like he's already... It's like he's starting off as a baby. I think he's, he's at least teenage sized coming out by the looks of it.
Also made me think of Colin Robinson a bit there.
Okay.
So, yeah. Did you finish What We Do in the Shadows?
I've seen several seasons. Are you talking about when he's like a baby version of himself?
Uh-huh.
Okay, all right.
Yeah. And how energy vampires, how they're bored in their life cycle and whatever. I don't want to spoil too much. People,
Oh, sure, yeah.
Haven't. But but there's a bit of that in there that I was getting from it. But yeah, that was just creepy. Like, Snyder, I'm glad he has the absolute universe to put this stuff in. I think that keeps everybody safe.
Yeah. Oh, well, speaking of creepy, when she runs into her mother down in these labs, she's got like something that looks a lot more like the traditional Harley Quinn outfit, but it's way more disturbing because it's kind of like a white hat that's just got bloodstains on it to make the sort of white and red, and she's just got sort of like black makeup or whatever smeared on over part of her face, and there's just blood like mixing in with her red or black apron, and it's like, oh, this is almost making a Harley Quinn, but it looks a lot more disturbing and psychotic. Like, no, you look like you've just been hacking up bodies, and you're just demented. So I appreciated them sort of putting a spin on that visual and kind of like saying, oh, like the Harley we know in this is actually kind of the child of Harley Quinn more than the actual Harley Quinn from the regular universe.
Yeah, because it makes much more sense that her mother is the de facto Harley, right? She's the one that's working with Grimm, right? Has been twisted by, his experiments, much like Harley was, being the psychiatrist in Arkham. But yeah, there's this one panel there that Dell'Edera just does great with, where there's the big one where she's grabbing the younger Harley, right? And the fourth panel over, there's like this swirl of red going around her, and the way that it breaks up her apron with the black and the red, it looks like traditional Harley Quinn, right? Like, you can't not see that. But it's not like she's wearing a costume. It's just the way that the light is hitting it from the blood soaking it and whatnot. And just all the muted colors, it makes the red pop even more.
So yeah, like all the present day stuff is Batman and Harley try to get somewhere. We don't really know where for a lot of it, and the Robins are trying to find them. And it turns out at the end of the issue, or towards the end of the issue, that it's actually Thomas Wayne's grave, and Batman digs it up. He opens it up and finds no one inside, and then the phone buzzes and it's Scarecrow, who reveals seemingly that Thomas Wayne never died, and he's actually chained up. He's skinny, he's got long white hair, and when Scarecrow says, hey, your son's seeing this, he sort of turns in shame and says, please look away, you promised he'd never see me like this, look away. And it's like, oh shit. What a reveal. We killed Gordon in the first 20 issues of Absolute Batman, but both Waynes seem to still be alive.
Yeah, but also there's a thing that Harley says, that she's familiar with the Scarecrow and his work, and it's not like he's not the supernatural figure. He's just as a team that it's almost like a CIA psyop, and then he has the best people, and he works on twisting your reality and making things seem more than real. And the way to deal with it is, even if it is true, you treat it as it's not true. So that's like the last words of the book, is her, going down this alleyway, going, even if it's true, it's not true. Even if it's true, it's not true. And that's how she's dealing with this,
yeah, but I
her
would,
father being the Joker.
Yeah, but I would note down, though, the final line there is even if it's true, she doesn't finish it the last time, which is almost like this like ambiguous, like, yeah, but it might actually just be true. And if that's the case, then like, so I think, yeah, there's obviously wiggle room here for this to be a trick of some kind. There's room for this to be something else, but it's definitely given us the big moment, the big cliffhanger of Thomas Wayne's been secretly held captive all this time, and maybe this is again more plans by Grimm, Joker, and Scarecrow to further break Bruce and Batman and do whatever. But either way, it does feel like a big reveal to do this at the end. Like like see,
absolutely.
See if he just turned out to be alive, but he was just sort of like living a new life somewhere in another city. I think that'd be boring as shit. The implication that he's been held captive in a basement somewhere as a prisoner for 15, 20 years, however long it's been, it does feel a little bit more interesting, because although the villains have had him all this time, and that's a little bit different than just, he ran away with a new family or something like that or whatever.
Yeah.
So no, it's good stuff. I mean, for the most part, it's good stuff.
It adds some mystique to the Joker as well, right? With what he's willing to do and put people through, that whole thing. But yeah, but that's also that with Harley here, where she tells him, it's only real if you believe it's real. And I feel like that's a lot to go with the Joker, because we know he is like this demon. We've seen, away from things. So this is how she's choosing to believe.
Well, I mean, forget Joker for a minute. Just think about how this arc started with Scarecrow, how he's introduced. He made someone think his friend was something else, and his friend killed him, right? That was the introduction in the cornfield, right? More or less. I'd have to go back and check the details to be more accurate, but that was the gist of it. So they could just be setting up the twist here that right from the start they're saying Scarecrow convinces you of things that aren't real to make you do something that you would otherwise not do, and maybe that is the game plan here, to provoke Batman into something because he thinks this is true, and Batman's going to have to make a choice and maybe either choose to believe it or not believe it, regardless of what the outcome of that is, in order to achieve saving the day or whatever it is he's going to be pushed into. So it's like, I think this is a pretty good issue. I liked some of the extra lore, and I think the visuals of like Harley's mum as the demented, like, mad doctor Harley, I think looks pretty cool. It's not as strong as maybe the last few issues for me, and I think it's just like a pacing thing. And maybe as much as I like some of the Harley flashbacks, they do take up a lot of the issue. Yeah. Right? A lot of this is like kid Harley talking about, like, wondering where her mum is and writing to her dad that she doesn't know and stuff like that. And I guess it reminds me a little bit of that issue that did all the Bane backstory, where it was maybe a bit too dense with the flashbacks in that one. This one maybe suffers a little bit from the same thing for me. But which is not to say I didn't like it. I mean, I did like it. Like, start to finish, I was having a good time. There was a good sense of atmosphere with the Robins patrolling and trying to find them and stuff like that. But yeah, it feels like Speed Bump seems like too harsh. Yeah, that's too harsh. But it's not. But it is in a break in the action that where we were going from the last couple issues, like the forward momentum of Bruce, like, being in denial about what Joker told him and whatnot. So, but no, it's still really good. Also, Harley's mom is Dr. Arkham. She says that, that's what she says. Now, admittedly, I didn't know how to take that when she said that. Like, I wasn't sure if that was that's my real name, or like in the same way that Batman says I'm Batman. She's saying I know I've become Dr. Arkham. That's who I am now. Like, I wasn't sure if she was saying this is my actual name or if this is what I am choosing to be, kind of thing. But maybe we'll get a clarification on that as we get more story about it. Either way, she's Dr. Arkham that's been running around with Joker, right? That's the lady doctor, so that we've seen do real bad things. So I think that also adding to that she is the progeny. Like, for Joker wanting Bruce to believe that he created Batman, they 100% created this Harley Red Hood. So she is the progeny as well, and I think that makes it again an interesting dynamic between Harley and Bruce, because at the end of this, Harley's just like, I'm done with him. I can't deal with him. He's going to go off and do all this on his own, and I can't stop him. Right. So, like, just that dynamic between the two of them, I do like. Yeah, then they both have this shared thing of like maybe try to fight what their parents pushed them into, or intentionally or otherwise. This idea of like, or not even parents. I shouldn't have said parents. I guess, I mean, in her case, it's parents. In Batman's case, it's not his parents per se. It's more grim and like the other villains. But this idea of being pushed into something that they've made a plan for you, and he's already kind of circumvented it a little bit. Like Joker even admitted that, like, hey, you were just like a pet project, like a little joke on the side. You weren't supposed to be this main focus, but you've kind of become so much more than we could have predicted. So now you've become the focal point. You've become the main thing that I'm paying attention to. But he was never meant to be that in the first place. So he's in a way, he's already went above and beyond. And obviously now we're kind of looking forward to this idea of him kind of breaking Joker's like predictions or surprising him in ways that are going to like
ruin the punchline.
I think that's a good way of putting it. Ruining the punchline. Oh. Yeah. So yeah, and the Dell'Edera art's pretty solid. I think particularly the more horror stuff and the flashbacks, I think suits the style. It is obviously different to the normal art that we get on Absolute Batman, but that's fine. Yeah, I mean, good issue. Just like the book operates at such a high level that when I come out and say this is just a good issue, it sounds like a negative. I don't mean it to be. It's good. Like, it's a fine chapter in the ongoing story.
I appreciate that Snyder still finds issues to drop in these like what the hell moments, like with Joker being Harley's actual dad. And the way that it's revealed.
I mean, Thomas Wayne maybe being alive, Martha being in the Court of Owls, Gordon dying. Like there's been a lot of bombshell type moments like that over the last, like, say, 6 or so issues. So fair play. He keeps doing it. So, I mean, what next? I don't know. Maybe, I don't know. Dick's parents weren't in the circus. They were electricians. That one will have the same impact.
No, because the way that he's still...
Wait, why did you respond to what I just said seriously? That was just a bad attempt at a joke with no punchline.
Because with him, because the way that they're going out with the way that he is, like the way that he's an EMT and still actually trying to help people or whatever, I am curious to see what that's like in the Absolute Universe. Like, did he still lose them? Right?
I mean, that's a good question, but I mean, I wasn't trying to allude to it in specific. I was just trying to think of a funny, like something that wouldn't actually be that important. His parents just have some random normal job. But yeah, I'm sure we'll get the story of Dick Grayson at some point. There'll be an issue down the line where we're going to get like what his backstory is, and probably for some of the other Robins as well. I would expect. So no, it's so interesting stuff. What are you giving Absolute Batman, Matt?
I'm going to give this a straight 8.
Yeah, I think I agree with that. I think it's still really good, if not great. Just, maybe not up to the standards of some of the recent issues, which have been excellent. So, cool. Absolute Catwoman issue 2, Scott Snyder and Chi Grayson writing with Bengal on the art. So the first issue of this was good, but not like flawless. Probably one of the weaker issue ones from an Absolute book, just because I didn't love all of it. I had some nitpicks and critiques. And I think that kind of continues here in issue 2, where I overall enjoyed most of what was going on, but there was definitely a few periods where I was like, this is a little bit overly dense in narration, or there's one moment in particular that I thought was really weird. This is kind of like middle to late in the issue, but there's a moment where like a woman jumps through a window and the narration box immediately says, that's Helena Bertinelli, so and so on. She's the third or second stray of the group, right? Because she describes them in the flashback as that earlier. All right. But what was weird is in the next panel, she puts a shocked face on and says, Helena, and then she goes, Selena Kyle? Right. And I was like, wait, but your narration already told us who, like, surely you'd have that reaction first and then have the narration add on the bit about, the context of who she is. It felt so, because it was like her mind already knew it was her, but then she actually reacted to it in the next panel. Yeah. And that was really strange. It's a small thing, but it was really strange to me when I read that page. But,
so I was like, are we supposed to be surprised or not surprised?
I know. It's strange stuff, but
I like the heisty elements of it. Like following Selena as she tries to sell this orb, right, to figure out who would want it, right, and that's where she can get her lead of what exactly it is. And her going through this, super secret ice cave where like the richest, top 0.000% of people sell things. Like, I like all of that set dressing. The rest of the revelations are like fine. I don't know. It kind of feels like, hey, this is this new version of this. Isn't that clever? Like, we're going to have the Strays, and these are all characters that you know. And I was like, okay, I guess. I mean, so that was kind of underwhelming, but I did like all the heist and auction house stuff. I thought that was pretty fun.
Yeah, I mean, there's two basic things going on in this issue. The flashbacks are basically like, hey, this is like Holly put together this little team with Selina, and one. So they don't say by name who they are early on. They just say, hey, this one was kind of the street kid, and this one was this one comes from a rich family, but it like wants to rebel against them, and that ends up being Helena, which makes sense when Helena's rough backstory. And then the other one is the genius, the one who knows tech stuff, and that turns out. And I got really confused when they revealed her name, because I'm like, I might know that is, and then I was like, oh wait, I think we're maybe doing either a gender swap, or we're doing like someone who's related to another character.
Yep.
Because her name's Sage, right? So, but it's Victoria Sage, because I'm like, that sounds familiar. Who's Victoria Sage? And I'm like, oh no, wait.
That's a good question.
Yeah, they got me. But it's not until we meet them as adults though where their names come up, and I thought that was a neat way of like, if that felt, because one of my complaints in issue 1 is that there was so many like jumping around in the timeline that it felt a little bit clunky. I think this felt less clunky in that sense, because it was mostly just like one stream of flashbacks, one stream of present day stuff, and they were both told in order, so it never felt too confusing. It was always just, no, we're going back to this part of the story, then we're jumping back to present day, and that's pretty normal. Lots of stories do that. And that works quite well. But yeah, basically Selina wants to figure out what this orb thing is, and her plan to figure out what it is, this thing that Holly gave her, is to basically just see who wants to buy it, right? If there's nothing to go off on, like where it came from, or she has no information about it, well, let's see who wants it so badly, and then maybe she can figure things out from that. So she puts it on like a back market kind of, high auction site for a huge amount of money, and sees who the buyer is. But the buyer ends up being Victoria Sage, and it's like, wait, like you were trying to get this back to protect it, because Holly already came to you and asked for your help first, and then Helena shows up, and it ends up being basically the team that Cass is working with all have like invisibility tech suits like the Predator, and they all show up and attack people at this secret mountain lodge that is like completely encased in the mountain. And so there's a lot of fighting towards the end, and Selina planted some explosives to make the whole thing come crashing down. Yeah, so that all happens.
Yeah, Pete, they're the League of Shadows. They're living shadows with this tech.
I figured
that was pretty fun.
Yeah, I figured that's what they were, but they never actually said the phrase, so I was dancing around it.
Yeah, that was really fun. That was one of the things I was like, oh, okay. Like, because the way that Selina describes, like, oh, these shadows are not natural places, and then they start moving on their own, and then you're like, oh, it's the League of Shadows. Got it.
Yeah. Which, I mean, presumably then the mysterious person in the chair giving orders might be Italia, or might be
Well, you got to remember, Lazarus Core is over running around in Superman.
Oh, true. So maybe it isn't Talia.
So I would guess that this is Shiva, or one of the...
Shiva would make sense because of Cass. Yeah, that
or
would make sense.
Or maybe one of the other... Maybe the other Algol. I always forget her name. Nissa, yeah. Maybe Nissa of that. So
Shiva makes more sense to me now you've brought it up, though, because of the Cass connection.
Cass.
But yeah, I mean, Cass does get the orb back though, and skedaddles off with it towards the end of the book. But there's a big fight scene between Selina and Cass. I did think some of Selina's narration was a little repetitive from the last issue, where she said basically the same things. It's like she's reading my body, and I'm like, you said that last time. I remember you saying that, because that was the hint that it was Cass. So there's just like occasionally some of the narration or dialogue is a little clunky still, and I was still feeling that kind of sprinkle throughout this issue. The actual plot, which is, oh, okay, put this up for auction, see who wants to buy it to figure out who it is, big action showdown in a secret ice mountain base that eventually leads to Selena saving her two old friends so they can work together. Like, yeah, that all sounds fine. All sounds fun. You know, I appreciate in the flashback when they're breaking into this building to look at the security records, or sorry, financial records, so they can mess with it. Like, all the names were quite, like, I think there was one that I didn't recognize, but the others were like one was Falcone, one was Thorne, so Rupert Thorne, one was Bertinelli, funnily enough, so that was another tease for Helena later on, and what was the other one I recognized? I'm not on the page right now, but there was one at the bottom I didn't recognize, though, was Crown. Do we know who Crown is? Because that wasn't ringing a bell.
No, Crown might be someone from the Absolute that might be coming through.
Elliot was the other one.
Not.
Elliot,
which
so
was the
so Hushy's family is what they're teasing there. So yeah, I don't know who Crown is, but maybe that'll be a character that pops up later in this book, or you know, or maybe it's something they're teasing for Absolute Batman. Who knows? But unless we are just forgetting something, by all means in the comments, let us know. Is there a Crown character that we're forgetting?
Because whoever they are, they got a ton of money. They got a big number. The only one that's bigger is the Falcons.
Yes,
there, which makes a lot of sense.
Yeah,
but yeah,
the Falcone family has $776 billion. That's a lot of billions.
Yeah, they're filthy rich. But yeah, I did like the seeding of the Bertinelli stuff, because when it was revealed to be Helena, I was like, oh, okay, cool. You know, all the seeding for that throughout was like, oh yeah, she comes from that rich family, but she wanted to rebel.
Plus, it's neat that she was stealing from her own family's money. She was like, and not even for herself. They basically say they're going to put it all into charities, like, you know, in Gotham and stuff.
And two, they get into the bank because she goes, oh yeah, my dad's a client here. You know? So that's how they get in. And I was like, oh, okay. That was nicely put through there. But, you know, it's a decent issue. It's still like, it doesn't have the same kind of excitement as some of the other Absolute books that's going on. Like, it weirdly feels like a miniseries.
I mean, it is a miniseries, I think, but
yeah, I know, but there's always that tease when it comes to the Absolute books, like, oh well, if it does well enough, it'll get a full. But this one doesn't have that same kind of like pizzazz.
Yeah,
in the first two issues.
I think there's a couple things here. I mean, one for me is that I think Bengal does action well, and I think a lot of it looks quite pleasing. But the one big asterisk I'd put on that is that I think all of his characters in the present day stuff all still look like they're 14. Like, they all look super young. Like, see when Selena's fighting Cass, like, Selena looks like she's like a teenager and all that stuff, and she's not meant to be.
Instead of in her mid-20s, like what she's supposed to be. Yeah, and also I feel like Helena and Selena look a lot alike when Selena's not in the cat get-up.
Yeah.
And I understand that's kind of the draw of Helena, as they do look so similar. But Bengal makes them look like they're supposed to be twins or something.
Yeah.
You know?
And it doesn't help that the Selena Catwoman outfit in this has got a little bit of a purple tint to it, because that's the color I associate with Helena. So no, that is a bit of an issue. Yeah, and I think other than that, though, it does kind of feel like, obviously it was exciting to get the cast reveal last time because they teased it, and I think that Helena reveal this time is also quite good because, again, they tease it with the financial record stuff, and then, oh shit, it's Helena, that all of a sudden it all ties in. I think that's quite good, but there's also a little part of me that's like, we're burning all these cool characters in this miniseries that's not one of the main Absolute books, so that felt like a little bit of a shame to me. That's
what I was getting at with introducing them in this way, that I was like, I mean, sure, like the Strays and making them all somebody, but like, we already have Holly, we have Helena, now apparently we're getting a Question tie-in somehow. You know, I was like, it would have been cool to see these guys organically pop up elsewhere instead of all just at one time.
Yeah, I think maybe it's just a lot very quickly, right? Even though I think the cast reveal last time and then the Helena one this time were both handled quite well. And I think it also, though, feels like maybe they won't end up being that important ultimately because they're just in the side miniseries as opposed to, you know, Cass showing up and interacting with the Robins or something in Absolute Batman, which would be, like, is Cass even going to become a good character in this universe? We don't know.
I mean, we know enough that she's getting a mini, right?
No, one shot.
One shot. Oh, it's only a one shot.
Only one shot, yeah.
Okay, yeah. But yeah, we know next to nothing about her. She showed up and been silent and whipped ass. That's about it, which I know seems par for the course for Cass, but that's not why we enjoy her as a character so much.
I mean, she has obviously that same kind of like reading the body, like fighting skills, but other than that, we don't really know anything in terms of like her. You know, does she like doing this? Is she like devoted to it, or is she having doubts and that kind of thing? Maybe we'll get into that in the one shot, but but yeah, it's not bad by any stretch. It definitely there was some chunks in the middle where I was kind of like feeling just a little bit clunkiness in the way that it was kind of setting some stuff up in the narration. Like it was almost like over explaining stuff sometimes. That Helena name reveal was kind of the big one where it felt like you could have just not had that narration box, or if you did have it after the fact and only have it to add extra information because their name's just been said out loud anyway. Just have it come up saying, you know, first stray, you know, the rich kid, and you know, because their name's already been said out loud. It actually kind of ruined the moment where Selena was surprised, and if anything, it made it confusing because I'm like, wait. She didn't realize that yet? Okay.
I think she could have just not yelled out Helena and just did it in narration and went, oh yeah, this is my first stray, Helena Bertinelli. You know, she crashes through the window. You know, always knows how to make an entrance. Yeah. Something along those lines.
That said, though, I think the dialogue's better than the narration, so if I was going to lose one, I'd say lose the narration box, but, you know, that might just be out of taste more than anything else. Then I guess this is a minor critique really, but I felt like the last page didn't really feel like a last page. Like it got to the end of that page and I was just kind of like, oh, I guess the issue is over. Yeah, because it's them talking about what they're going to do, their plans, and then we see Cass with I assume Shiva with the orb.
Yeah, look at the uniform, Pete. That's definitely Shiva.
Yeah, I wasn't thinking about the uniform in the last page.
Yeah,
because the first time you see her earlier on, she's just sitting in a chair and you just see her face.
Shadowy. Yeah.
But yeah, this is all a MacGuffin chasing story, right? So this orb is a map to find the yarn. I think they keep calling it.
Yeah, which is some like kind of AI thing, right? That
super AI computer something or other. Yeah,
a synthetic intelligence so powerful it can create an unimpeachable reality. Which I'm like, we just had something like that in Birds of Prey. I don't want to wrap my brain around that again. Make the MacGuffin something else. I don't know.
It was weird to me though, because the narration just kind of felt like it ended on this point of like, oh, maybe I'll have to write a new story for myself. But I didn't really feel like anything in the actual last page like set up what her saying that, so it just felt a little bit disjointed. And then that, to be continued. Oh, I guess we're done. So the flow is still feeling a bit weird. Like the flow is still not quite hitting me the way it's supposed to, and is feeling a little jarring. Where I'm noticing just these little quirks where I'm like, oh, that didn't feel like an ending, or that narration felt a bit overly wordy, or it felt like it was in the wrong place, or it just shouldn't have been there because it's adding too much, or whatever. There's enough of that throughout that it's stopping me from loving it. But even though I think generally speaking, what's actually going on is mostly pretty good or fun. So, you know, and the art is generally pretty good, except everyone looks too young. that's the one big thing.
But but I feel like we've said that about Bengal in the past.
Probably
in other books. I think again, that's just the style. But again, maybe don't do so much back and forth to remind us how young they look. Because they look the same as they did when they're 14 as they do when they're 24.
Yeah, everyone just looks too young. I mean, Victoria Sage maybe less so, just because her haircut's a very middle-aged woman haircut. That's maybe the one thing that kind of makes her look a bit older, but everyone else looks 14.
Yeah, it's the same haircut that Claire had in the first Jurassic World.
Yes. Yeah, no young girl has that haircut, right? It's not a thing.
That is a business professional in her 40s.
Yeah.
30s. I'll be nice to Bryce on that one.
I mean, the movie was like over a decade ago.
10 years.
Yeah. She probably was in her 30s then. She's definitely not now.
Yeah. No, but that's what I said. 30s, I'll be nice. I won't make it that she looked like she was in her 40s. But yeah, no, it's fine. Again, I'm here for the heist elements, and I think those get executed very well. All the action's very fun. So as long as it maintains that, I'll be pleased.
Yeah. No, I mean it was a decent enough read. Like I'm not mad at it. I'd even say it's good, but there's enough dings for me to point out and say, or kind of holding it back from being great. But anyway, we give an absolute Catwoman, Matt.
Straight 7.
Yeah, I was thinking straight 7 as well. Not to just copy you, but yep, there you go. Barbara Gordon Breakout, issue 3, Mariko Tamaki writing with Amancay and Nahuelpan on the art. So, last issue, she got beat up pretty bad.
Yep.
This issue, she starts seeing more of these visions of death coming for her, and what that might mean. It seems like it's like her subconscious is trying to tell her that this other prisoner's trying to kill her, effectively.
Danger.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's almost like her spidey sense.
Yeah, danger's afoot.
It's her oracle sense. Yeah.
Yeah. And we also get some intercutting flashbacks of when she was Batgirl on the outside with Dick, Cass, and Helena. What was weird, though, is that this was her present-day Batgirl suit, so the only thing that throws me off here is that it says years ago, and I'm like, nah, it feels like a few months ago. This feels like just before she went in prison, to be honest, but I'll take your word for it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, they're breaking into a place in the flashback, and, you know, there's some nice, colourful art there, you know, because it's notably very different from all the prison stuff, because it's a lot more colours, and, you know, whereas in the prison it's a lot of, you know, orange jumpsuits. Greens. Yeah, it's bright orange jumpsuits and then drab greens in the background pretty much the entire time. So yeah,
I do love how the purple pops right in those first bunch of pages, and then you get to the prison stuff, and it starts with that purple and like the establishing shot, and then it goes to all of those drab colors. So it's definitely, you know, playing with the color to show the difference, what's going on.
Yeah.
And then I also love how red that Grim Reaper character is, because there's that page when you turn and it's split down the 4 ways, like diagonally.
Yeah.
And just the way that it goes across, and it plays up red as danger here. And yeah, so I like all that stuff. Now, do I fully understand what's going on? No, but I'm still along for the ride.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's definitely a little bit more heady than I think I was expecting. It still very much has Tamaki's very easy to follow dialogue and narration. Like, it flows very well, but it's definitely doing a bit more like, oh, we're in like Barbara's head and she's seeing this Grim Reaper coming after her. Like, I don't know if I was expecting that. There's also a really cool page when it goes back to the flashback, because she basically, it looks like she kind of has like a collapsing moment because she gets overwhelmed with these Grim Reaper visions. We go back to the flashback, and we get this cool page where like the building's sort of like cut down vertically, so you can see inside each floor, and you see like Babs on one floor, Dick on another floor, Helena on another floor. And I'm going to assume that Cass is on that floor that's got no one in it, but you can't see her, which I think is a funny touch, that Cass is such a stealthy character that she's unseen. But yeah. However, it starts to like, it introduces something, because they get to this painting, and Barbara, she says, everyone stop, and she sees this painting, and she says, Hannah Hanala, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, who's that? But then it comes back up later when Babs is talking about stuff going on inside the prison, because she ends up looking at this like circle on like the wall outside. There's just this perfect circle carved into it. And she's like, you know, I'm looking at something, but I don't know what I'm looking at. Like, what's going on here? And she's looking up at the cameras, and she's getting more visions of this Grim Reaper, and she's feeling pain, but she's like, everyone run. And the Grim Reaper like grabs her hand and says, I'm here to help. I know who you are, Batgirl, and throws her into the electric fence. So we get this great, it's really good because it's like all these muted greens and stuff in the previous pages, and then you go to that page and it's like all bright blues and whites as she's getting shocked. So it looks great. But I'm like, okay, is this that like gangstery type prisoner who was after her? Is she doing this, but she's seeing Grim Reaper? Like, how are we reading this? I like how it was like earlier on the issue, she was pointing out kind of the layout of the prison and how there's like, you know, 250 or something male prisoners and like 160 female prisoners, and there's like a big wall in the yard, so they never interact, right? They keep them separate at all times, but there's just this one divider. They can
see each other.
Yes, they can see each other.
Yeah.
I thought that was an interesting touch, because I can see Babs sneaking around later and maybe getting into the men's side to, you know, do investigating or whatever. So, yeah. But anyway, so, yeah, in the flashback, she gets kind of frozen up, and the other's like, what's wrong? And Batgirl says, I can never find Hannah Anala. Hannah Anala, I saw it so many times, I didn't see. Run. And then she runs as an explosion goes off, like she sensed danger there. She's like, it's a trap. Really cool couple of panels of her running with the fire coming out of the windows next to her, and then them all jumping out of the building. Now, can I tell you what this Hannah Analyth stuff is, or what exactly is going on, or how it's going to fit into anything? I don't have a goddamn clue. This is the first time it's came up, I think.
Yep. Yeah. And I feel like they're trying to make a Joker thing with the haha, right? Because there's the way that as she's running away, right? it's doing the ha 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 through everything, and I don't understand why this is the circular thing. Like, why she's making the circle with it, that there is no Hana Anala, right? Like, how does that pertain to what's going on in the prison?
I mean, forgetting the prison for a second. So yeah, you're right. There's a lot of HAs in that name, and maybe that's the point. There's a ha 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 in there, and like, okay, so this was something Joker set up to try and torment her as Batgirl some time ago. I can buy that. That makes a lot of sense. Joker would use aliases for lots of things. Now, how that pertains to the prison stuff is tough to say, but she's lying there all injured from the fence saying there is no Hana Anala, and the prisoner standing next to her is like, who's Hana Anala? And she's like, who are you? This blonde prisoner. And she says, I'm here to help. Now, is that really someone who's here to help? Because we can see her face, we don't get to see her.
Yeah.
So presumably next issue we'll find out who this character is. Maybe this is a genuine good character that we'll recognize once we get to see her. Maybe this is someone who's coming the inside. I mean, she's blonde, whoever. I mean, she's not acting like Steph, but if they said, hey, Steph got herself thrown in prison to help or so, I mean, I don't think it is, but because all we can tell is that she's blonde. Whoever this is blonde, but we'll find out. However, the final page, or the final 2 pages, I should say, is it cuts to a sort of camera lens, right? So it's a perfect circle, and the coloring gets really dark. It's just black with little sort of slight green highlights. So you really get that sense of the glow of all the TV monitors in the darkness, right? So it's a really cool couple of pages actually visually. But her narration's like, what would I have seen it if I'd looked harder? It was just a name and a plaque, a detail I missed until I knew what I was looking at. And whoever this is, this mysterious person in darkness, who I was going to say I think is a man. It probably is, but I also don't think it's like set in stone. And from behind, it definitely looks like a guy. The close up of the face, the
way that the glasses are going, it reminds me of the Calculator.
It does. Right? That's what. Yeah. So basically, it's like whoever this is watching all the monitors and watching Barbara on the ground in pain. And then the final panel is just a reflection of the monitors in his glasses. I could definitely see Calculator from this, for sure.
Because I remember in the mid-2000s, they were setting up Calculator to be like the bad guy's version of Oracle. So to put them, or Tamaki to put them at odds, and now he's like the keeper of the prison because, of his skills of going through information or whatever in that way. Of course, Vandal Savage would reach out. Like, we know he's been giving like villains jobs with the police, through some of the other books. So,
or Calculator's already been helping him in a capacity as the villain's oracle, and just naturally he's been used here to like deal with this.
Yep.
Now the ha 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 thing does feel more jokery, but I wonder if that was just to throw her off the scent. Maybe he was doing something back then. Or maybe that was a case of Calculator was working for Joker back then, and that's how it ties in. But honestly, I have no idea. Like, this issue definitely introduced this extra weird new element that I have no idea what to take from it. But it always looked very good, and that final page is especially quite creepy with this ominous figure watching all the monitors. I think the coloring's excellent throughout the issue, and so just a little bit more context next issue to start making things feel straight in line would be nice. But like, I still had a good time with this.
Yeah, I trust Tamaki to tell the story though. Like, I've read enough of her books to know that this is going somewhere, and I feel like she's just breadcrumbing us along the way. Yeah,
I don't doubt that it's going somewhere. I mean, that's not a concern I've got. It's more just this was definitely one where it's less plot moving forward and more, oh, what the hell's this? What the hell's this? What's going on?
And to me, the whole Hana Anala thing is her realizing, like, of course there's something going on at the prison, but it's not what Babs was thinking it was, right? So she's gonna find out, right? There is no Hana Anala, right? It's not what they were looking for.
Yeah, it's not so much that Hana Anala has anything to do with the prison. Maybe it's just that this is like that, and that the thing that they thought they were investigating back then was just not what they were actually stepping into. And maybe that's the same with the prison. It's like, no, the thing I thought I was here to investigate is not actually what's going on here, and there's a whole different type of threat that I need to deal with, and that might be the Calculator. Who's maybe he's like the secret warden, like off the books, like doing all this stuff in the prison. That's possible. So
yeah. So, but yeah, no. This one, as I was reading, I was like, "What the hell is going on?" We still don't have know what's going on with the Grim Reaper, and now we're adding this Hana Anala, and now we have these secret cameras that are, the Grim watching everybody.
The Grim Reaper, I don't think needs an explanation, though. I think the Grim Reaper is just this like personification of danger in her head. Because she's so out of it, and yeah, she keeps getting like she's been put through it. She got beat to shit last issue. This issue, she gets fried on the electric fence. Like Tamaki is putting Babs through just torture over the course of this. It's almost like
she's mad at her. Like, what did Babs do to Tamaki? Well, she's running her through the ringer.
There was an old joke when Buffy was there on the hit television show Buffy the Vampire Slayer, that whenever Buffy was like sad, the ratings were higher. Like whenever she was going through bad stuff and like things were miserable for her, things were better. So maybe Tamaki's just got the same philosophy. Like, we have to keep Babs like, until the last issue, she cannot be happy. We have to just be in the misery. The odds are stacked against her. Everything's bad, and until she finally wins at the end. There you go. There's your happiness.
All that's important is that she suffers.
Yes.
Because suffering builds character.
Yes.
Like, yeah.
Yes, the suffering will continue until morale improves.
Yes.
So, that's just still a very breezy read, though. I still had a good time going through this, even though the story wasn't presented in the most coherent, like this is what it is obviously going on kind of way. So,
yeah, I was reading this at work and I was like, oh, I don't know if I'll have time to finish this. And then I kept going and I was like, I got done with time to spare. I was like, oh, cool, thanks.
Yep.
Yeah.
Very, very breezy, and like I said, the art is very nice, and especially the coloring I think is quite very vibrant, and the rate shifts for certain scenes to new coloring schemes between the flashbacks, the present day stuff, the electrocuting part, the last couple pages in the CD monitor room, all good stuff. So what are you giving Barbara Gordon Breakout?
Straight 7.
I'm gonna go 7.5. I think it's a little bit better than that, but not a bad ton. But it's, I'm definitely on the upper end of good for sure. So cool. All right, Green Lantern Corps issue 18, legacy number 121. Morgan Hampton writing with Will Conrad, Iga Guara, Juan José Reap, and Fernando Passarin on the art. Yes, that was 4 artists. And also, I did not read Green Lantern Corps this week. I kind of hinted last time that I was kind of on the teetering on the edge of it, and admittedly, I didn't look at how many artists there were when I made my choice. I just decided anyway. But when I was getting the list of books together for just the rundown of the show, and I saw there was 4 artists, I went, oh, I might have dodged some bullets here. Like Neo in the Matrix, just going into super speed.
Bullet time.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. I credit Morgan Hampton for trying to do things, because it just feels like, I don't know if DC's not putting the right artists on this book that they can't get done, or what's the deal? Because there was really no reason for this book to have 4 artists at a point.
It feels like a mess, doesn't it? Like, I mean, because obviously I didn't read this issue, but there was a couple of issues maybe like 5 or 6 ago that had 4 artists, and we tore them to shreds for just being so inconsistent.
And then here it feels like it was handled a little bit more, because there's some concurrent storylines going on, and the book picks up where the last one left off, where they're all in that big, the central meeting room, and Guy has all of the entities there with him, and Jess is like, well, we need to tap into all these entities to use their powers to fight off the Manhunters. And Guy's like, no, the whole reason that they're in this mess is because people keep tapping into their powers and using them as commodities, and it keeps getting us into trouble. And they start getting into a fight back and forth where it builds to Jess saying, well, I'm the core leader, and Guy's like, yeah, but I'm the all sight. And they go nose to nose, and Guy goes, fine. And he touches Jess like on the cheek, and they get zapped into that dimension where Guy was with all of the entities. What's that called? I gotta get to that.
Wait, just touching her on the cheek made them zap? That was
because of the emotion that's going through both of them, right? Guy uses his all sight, that they end up in the emotional expanse, which was in that space from the last one, where he met himself and he got all of the entities. And the art shifts here to someone else. I'm not sure who it is, but essentially this is where they're having a heart to heart. Meanwhile, while they're away in the emotional expanse, their physical bodies are still in this meeting room as the planet's getting attacked by the Manhunters. Right? So when they're here, Guy essentially gets Jess to understand that the entities don't want to be used anymore. They also want a say in things. And that they understand their power, right? But every enemy that's come up against them recently, it has been only to use their power and not use the power with them. And as the all-sight, Guy wants to represent them and what their wants and needs are. So he points out that, well, if you're just going to use them to tap into the rest of the Lanterns, then you're no better than the Starbreakers or the Manhunters, because for all the Manhunters see is that it's power to be controlled, and it's not emotion that needs to be felt, right? They don't understand that, and that makes you no different. And so that part of the story ends with Jess agreeing with Guy, like, hey, maybe we need to listen to the emotions a little bit more, right? And we can use, their power while they can feed on, because I can't remember if this was something that came up earlier, or if it was brought up now, that when they are in the main world, right, not this emotional expanse, they are feeding on the emotions, right? So Parallax is feeding on fear, the Butcher's feeding on anger, and that's what gives them their power. Then that power goes through, and that's what creates the emotional spectrum. And that essentially what they agree to is that it's a two-way street now, is that Jess, as the core leader, will allow, the entities to feed without necessarily just being used as power, right? Which is like the thing that Guy had been saying as, he's gotten into this hippy dippy stuff. It was just weird that it took Jess this long to go along with that. So as they're in the emotional expanse, Joe is leading the fight against Aya, the Manhunter version of Aya, while the Soul Self version of Aya is taking control of the planet in Oa. Because the way that she's able to interface with all the different things, being this not only computer program, but being a pure willpower. And so there's this cool moment where the robot Aya, that's a Manhunter, ends up forming the rest of the Manhunters into like this big gauntlet, right, to blast the rest of the Lanterns. And then that is where the Soul Self of Aya starts getting into all of the other programs to save Guy and Jess. But it's a little bit too little too late, because by the end, the Manhunter version of Aya had knocked into Jess and knocked her out of this emotional expanse. So now Guy is just standing there, disconnected. And the Manhunter Aya is like, look, we're going to sacrifice Guy as the all-sight unless you do what we say. And that's where it leaves off. The battle sequences with Joe leading, this is the highlight of the book, because Joe is going around with all of the other Lantern Corps people, and some of them are the main ones that we know, like Arkillo and Larfleeze and Atrocitus, and they're going around and they're fighting all of these Manhunters. And there's this colors flying around, and then Kilowog is like, hey, Joe, you remember you made me watch that anime, And she goes, I didn't make you watch it. I showed you an episode, and you went and took leave to binge it. And essentially what they do is like a Voltron Transformer thing that Kilowog had learned from this anime, where they get all of the like colors together and they form this big mech out of them of all the different colors. So like it has a yellow leg and a blue leg. And this is what they end up using to try to fight this horde of Manhunters. Until Aya decides to form bigger, right? And they get to fighting, and then that's where her main form goes in and takes on Guy. So the book's a mess, but there's fun to be had in it, and I still don't understand why it has four artists. You know, a lot of the art blends into each other, so the only art that stands out is when they're in the emotional expanse. Like the colors get softened, the art style's different. I'm not sure which of the four artists. I know it's not Passarin, because Passarin's doing the main lantern-y stuff up in space with the big mech and whatnot. And I think it's the Igara is the one that does the emotional expanse. The other two artists just kind of blend in with the rest of the Passarin art, which I guess works, but I still don't understand why they can't just get, you know, an artist instead of bringing four in.
Or even just two artists instead of four,
right,
would be an improvement.
And it adds to the chaos of the book. And again, there's a lot going on, and I give Hampton credit for trying all of the stuff and doing the Jess versus Guy struggle, because, you know, that is a relationship that we've seen since Rebirth, right? That when Jess became a full-fledged Lantern, her and Guy would constantly bump heads because Guy was giving her the tough love treatment, and she's this, you know, person that feels fear, and she was shut in her house, and, you know, and Guy doesn't seem to respect that. But then when he sees what she's capable of, he does earn that respect. So to see that come back through, and he's like, no, Jess, you're not listening. You are falling back into fear. You know, you're trying to do what's safe. You're trying to do because that's who you are. And for Jess to get upset through that, and that's where the stem of their problem comes from, I do appreciate. I just wish the book was a little less chaotic and frenetic. You know,
I mean, that was his main problem, and you know, it would be slightly better some months, and then go back to this. It seems, you know, so yeah. But
I, despite all of this, I did enjoy, you know, where it went, and again, I am enjoying Guy as the All Sight, because this hippie kind of dippy version of him is a fun take. It's a version of Guy I haven't seen, and I feel like Hampton is handling it very well. And if this is where they make their mark on Guy Gardner, I think it leaves Guy in a better place than where he's been. But yeah, so getting around to rating, I think I'll give this, like, just because of the messiness of all the different artists and the chaos of the story, I think it has to be like a 6.5, because it's still detrimental. Like, I could not still get over. And it looked on the title page like there was 8 artists. Like, I swear that those names just did not stop.
A lot of colorists probably as well, maybe.
Yeah, that too. So, yeah, that 6.5 I think is fair.
Okay, all right. Supergirl issue 15, Sophie Campbell writing and on art. Just one name for both.
Eh?
Wild.
And more or less, you know, for better or for worse, it's Sophie Campbell that it rides with, right? Like, which is brave.
Yeah. So this was okay. Like, I don't feel that strongly about this issue. It just kind of wraps things up. There's a fight, of course, which kind of like goes from inside the miniature Argos city, inside the bottle of Kandor, which then comes out of Kandor into the real world. And the big thing is that Black Flames, like, because she's wearing that solar ring thing, and she's also now out in Earth, like, she's basically getting solar poisoning because it's too much. Even Superman, if he was wearing this ring, would actually, like, get killed eventually, because it's like doubling up his absorption or whatever. So it's like, okay, that's an interesting mechanic. Plus we have the whole thing where all the people in Kandor can't come to Earth permanently because they'll all get sick or whatever.
All the Utes.
Yeah. So it's like, okay, all right, that's. I guess, you know, that seems like the most backhanded way to, like, talk about something, but it's perfectly fine. It gets the story beats done. I think the ending left me feeling a little bit of a downer, just because it sort of builds up to Supergirl saying, hey, I'm going to put this little team together of super friends to be my little team. And that final page that reveals who all the members are is, like, the most underwhelming, like, team I've ever seen in my, like, the shark character from one of the previous issues, you know,
Princess Shark.
Yeah, that's
Lena
the one.
Luthor.
Yep.
Some barbarian witch lady, which I must have been from when I wasn't reading, that short gap, because I don't remember her. Thunder Girl, who I do think has the most potential because of what happens in this issue. Yeah,
she gets a little bit of time in this issue, yeah.
Yeah.
But it's all characters. It's all characters from this run, though. It's not like, we're pulling in characters from, you know, the history of the character and like that.
and Kara gets a full new costume with pants. You
She
know,
does.
which was different. Which it looks like Clark's suit, which I appreciate, right? Because why can't she wear the full boots and legs too? Because the whole point that I'm drawing a blank. We just said the name Sophie Campbell. The whole point that Campbell's making is Kara is also like the legacy of Krypton. It's not just Clark. And because when Kara saw that sunstone, she realized that, she is part of Krypton's legacy and that it's calling out to her. And that if Clark's gone or if Cal's gone, that it's up to her to maintain that. So I do like that's where it leaves Kara as like, well, no, I'm growing. And to show that growth, she adopts like this version of like a more grown up suit, right? Not the skirt and the boots and stuff. And it leaves her in a better place. Putting this team together, what does she call them? The super force. Okay, whatever. Like I don't. It's neither here nor there.
It's such just a flat reaction for me for that,
Yeah.
and like I get the logic of having the suit with the trousers instead of the skirt. I do think, I don't know, maybe it's just nostalgia, but I just think it looks better in the skirt. Like she looks better in the skirt. Because it feels
iconic.
like it's iconic, but it's like now she's wearing the like a version of Superman's outfit as opposed to, and I know it's silly because like it's just the skirt. That's the one difference, but hey, that's the thing that makes it her suit. I
mean that's the difference between Mary Marvel and the Captain, right?
Yeah,
hers is a skirt. Like it is a bit sexist to just think like, oh, girl will skirt, but they've lasted this long. Like we're talking the 40s, 50s on up.
Yeah, it's a weird thing. Like I would like. I think this fictional character, I prefer the outfit to be a skirt. Obviously, this is not the same thing as saying that someone in real life has to wear a skirt. I would never, ever say that, and nor do I give a shit if a woman is wearing a skirt or trousers or whatever she chooses to wear. But the fictional character of Supergirl, I think the outfit looks better with a skirt. I just do. I don't have a good reason for it. It just looks better to me.
Well, no, and I prefer it to where in like the New 52, they just gave her the swimsuit legs, where it looks like she's wearing a one piece with a cape, and she's showing all leg with these thigh high boots, and it's just like that's not a good look, because they were trying to get away from the skirt.
Yeah, if anything, that's arguably more sexual than
absolutely
the skirt.
Well, because then you get Luminary getting returned to form, right? Because Luminary ends up with the ring, so she can come out of the bottle, and when she puts that on, she's back to wearing her suit. With her old thick self, with that kind of one piece bathing suit with a cape. Yeah. So, but I feel like that's a choice that she made, right? That's not a choice that's being foisted upon her.
Yeah, you can justify why Kara's making this choice, and it sounds perfectly reasonable. I have not a single argument against it. I just think the other suit looks better. That's it. Yeah. That's all it is.
And so her going through and Lesla being the voice of reason to the people of Kandor, I like that as well. Her yelling kind of back at her cousin, and that she doesn't need her and that she never did, I thought was nice. And to where we go with Thunder Girl, where Thunder Girl was a science experiment, but even without that collar piece that gave her powers, she still somehow ended up with the Thunder Kid's powers. Right, so she's her own person, and that's where Kara makes it known.
Yeah, she has like a scream power. She sort of screams the word no, and it causes like a shock, maybe almost Black Canary-esque, I guess.
Yeah,
I mean that's that. Honestly, though, like that's maybe the biggest critique of this issue, though, is that the first like half of it is mostly the fighting, and I don't really have anything to say about that half, to be honest. Like there's fighting, and it's fine.
I'd rather have like 4 pages of fighting, and the rest be this wrapping up of things, because I do like that it shows how Kara is taking this being the legacy of Krypton, right? Like she wants to leave Kandor better than she found it, which is again a very Superman ethos, and leaving Luminary better, and leaving Thunder Girl, and even being like, hey, Black Sun doesn't have to go to jail, right? Like don't lock her up. She needs to know what she did. She can help clean up the streets of Kandor and make her responsible for what she did. So again, it's showing her trying to be better, trying to live up to her cousin's legacy. Delivery.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, this whole going after the Sunstone is going to tie into the Superman crossover we're about to get, and that starts off in Supergirl next month. So even if I was feeling down about this issue a little bit and was thinking, maybe I don't want to continue, it's like, well, the next issues are going to be part of the crossover anyway, so I'm on board at least for a couple of more issues. And then I'll see what the new arc is after that and see how it's feeling. Because obviously I've dropped off this book before. We tried the new arc. It started off pretty solid. I think it kind of dwindled with each issue though, as we've read through this arc, where each one was still a little bit less fun than the last one.
But I still like the direction that Sophie Campbell's taking Kara in, where she's making her own, I know it seems ironic being that she's trying to live up to Cal's legacy, but it's Kara taking her culture into her own hands. With Krypton and whatnot. Yeah, so I like that.
I think you can agree with what she's trying to do with the character on like a broader thematic level, but if the actual storytelling is not that interesting, it doesn't really matter all that much. And I think that's kind of where I'm like, the storytelling of this issue was a little bit just really straightforward and nothing kind of got a reaction out of me. I wasn't really feeling like the weight of any of it. So I appreciate the ideas, but like I wasn't necessarily feeling like impacted by the storytelling itself. And I think that could be an issue again when we get to like beyond this crossover. I mean, I think for the crossover it probably won't matter that much because I imagine all the issues are going to feel kind of like they're co-written by a bunch of people as opposed to just what this book's been.
I really feel like Mark Waid is plotting it as we speak, right? Like,
well,
so it'll have to fit into things.
I feel like they've already written all the issues by this point, Matt. I hope for their sake they've already done it.
Yes, but you know what I mean. Like, I feel like there's going to be a lot less of this, of the stuff that we're not clicking with, or that's not clicking with us, because it's part of a crossover.
Yeah, and that's the thing is that all these like friends she's got in this last page are like, this is exactly the stuff that I dropped the book for in the first place, was introducing all these types of weird characters.
All I can think of is like, look at all the red shirts.
Yeah, it's a bunch of red shirts.
Right? Like, outside of Lena is the only one with any kind of semblance of, his last name is Luthor. The rest of them are very disposable, it seems like.
So, feeling very indifferent to this issue for the most part. It's not terrible or anything. It's just, not.
I thought it was fun. I still like Campbell's art. Then the colors really pop, which I just checked the colors. It's the same colors as Barbara Gordon, Batgirl.
That's interesting.
It's Bonvillian, but it's so different. Like the color theory in this book is just like very vibrant and bright and bouncy. Like they're not doing as much with like, again, making the colors mean a certain thing, but they all pop really well.
Yeah, so, maybe a little on the flat side, if I'm honest, if I'm really critiquing it, but that's fair.
But I do prefer, it's very funny, is like Sophie Campbell, the artist versus the writer. I very much enjoy the art a little bit more than the writing over the course of these, 15 issues. I've read 11, right? The art is always, I feel, really, really enjoyable.
Yeah, there's like the sense of like progression in the story is just not that satisfying to me, and I think I'm realizing that the more I read of this Supergirl by Sophie Campbell, is that I think Sophie Campbell's writing there's something just not that exciting about the way she advances stories, and I think that's becoming a bit of a hindrance, because it's like, there was a lot of cool ideas at the start of this story, but by the time we get to the last issue of it, I've kind of lost interest in a lot of it, and I think it's because the storytelling isn't like someone else who does pique my interest more and more as they reveal things and as they build up suspense and whatnot.
And if I'm thinking, every arc has felt the same, where it does that, where it runs out of steam, and then we're like, this is the end, instead of continuing wherever we are. And maybe part of that's editorial. Maybe they're not letting Campbell get enough. They're like, hey, these are the arcs that we're doing.
It's always possible. This
needs to be done by that. But that said, I've read 11 of these 15 at this point, and I feel like maybe that's just the style. And it's kind of like a Williamson thing where it is what it is, and you take it or leave it. Nothing's gonna change. But yeah, we're kind of we're gonna read the next one because it ties into Superman. Yeah. Although maybe not you. You're not reading Superman as much.
Well, no, but I'm going to be reading the Zod crossover event.
Yeah.
Right. And then after that, I might be back on Superman because we'll be out of this stupid Superboy Prime era at that point.
Prime time. I can't believe I'm going to say this, but I might miss Prime a little bit.
Ah, dear. All right, Matt, what are you giving Supergirl?
I'm going to give this a 7.5.
Flat 6 for me, I think. Was not feeling it. So
I like when we finally break, it breaks hard.
there you go. All right. Clayface, Celebrity Dirt, issue 1. This is written by Jude, Ellison, S. Doyle, and art by Fran Galan. Or Galan.
Fun name to say.
Yeah.
Yep.
There's a little accent on one of the A's, which is why I think it's not just Galan, because that would be my assumption, but there's an accent, so I'm thinking Galan.
Fran Galan, that just goes together. I remember there was a soccer player, and I think his name was like Zane Zidane. And it was always fun to say.
Yeah, of course, watch it be like it's a soft G and not a hard G, and I'm completely messing it up.
Yeah. Fran Halan.
Fran Gilan.
Yeah, that just sounds like a dessert. I think whatever. What else did we just get that name from the solicits? Because I'm looking to see what other books that they've worked on. And they're not ringing a bell. So,
yeah, I don't think I've heard this name before. So if you're remembering it, it's probably just from solicits.
Yeah, so we definitely made this joke in the solicits. Fran Galan being fun to say, which I will say to talk about this Clayface book, the art I really enjoy. I think it fits the detective-y, like what the hell is going on aspect of it really well.
Yeah, so the premise of this is quite interesting. So Clayface is in Arkham Tower. Well, one of the Arkham Towers. There's two here for some reason. I don't know. When did that happen? So I was like, it's a twin Arkham Towers now? What?
Oh, man. A second Clayface has hit the tower.
Yeah, news to me. But he's there. And he is like, let me out. Like, I've reformed. And there was kind of a funny joke here, actually, where the therapist was talking to him. He's like, I don't want you to be forming into anything, Clayface. That's bad news with you. He's like, no, I mean my mental health, doctor.
Yes.
I've reformed. And it's like, okay. But basically, the doctor drops a bombshell on him where he says, you're not Basil Carlo. Basil Carlo is reformed, and he's off being an actor right now. You just think you're Basil Carlo. And you're actually one of what we think is about 8 Clayfaces, and obviously there's a couple that we know, Matt Haig and whatever. But it's like, no, you just think you're Clayface, you impersonate other people, and you think you're Basil Carlo. And he's like, what? No, I am Basil Carlo. Do a DNA test. And he's like, no, that wouldn't work. All the DNA from all the Clayfaces just comes back as identical because you've all turned into clay. And I thought that was a funny. I thought that was a funny joke, or not even a joke, but like a funny detail to me.
And they say he's the third Clayface Todd Russell. Right? That was his intake papers. So he's not Basil Carlo. He's Todd Russell, but he thinks he's Basil Carlo.
Well, no, we don't know that for sure. I think the end of this book, I think, is making us ask the question, is this the real Basil Carlo? And the other guy, he's pretending to be Basil Carlo as an actor, but he's secretly someone else who's killing people and whatnot. Or that is Basil Carlo, who's actually been a successful actor right now. He's reformed. And this is just a crazy Clayface who thinks he's Basil Carlo, but isn't Basil Carlo.
Yes.
Does that make sense?
It does. It does. Yeah. Reading this, it just kept making me go, what the hell is going on? And then we got to the end, and I was like, oh, okay, I get where this is going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The thing is, though, is that this never was confusing to read. Like, obviously, there's a lot of mystery and there's things that are uncertain, but it was never confusing. So this Clayface, basically splats against his glass cell to make it crack, and he's able to sort of ooze out one of the holes. And this all looks cool. It's a great horror page where he's basically dripping from the ceiling, like on top of a guard. God. And it's like a horror movie thing with all these just eyes and like vague mouths in the ceiling.
There's like 16 faces here, but all makes one big face as well. And it's icky.
It's good stuff. And then he sort of comes down and oozes into this guy's face, maybe killing him before he takes his shape. Also, he put on his name badge when he's sneaking out the word Clay. I thought that was a bit bold of him.
Hey, he's got nothing to hide.
But so he's broke it out. The guard does eventually realize that it's probably Clayface, and he shoots him, or tries to shoot him in the head, but he just melts down into like a sewer grate and gets away that way. So I was liking the way they were playing with him using his power to get around, like beyond just the disguise. He's just like, no, he can just melt at the T-1000 and just go somewhere. That's kind of cool.
Yeah, I like that. I also like that he tells him, he goes, I am not a Clayface. I am the Clayface.
Yeah.
The others are just knockoffs.
So yeah, when he comes out of the sewer though, he sees like billboards and stuff for the new Basil Carlo movie called The Hit, and he's like, obviously he's furious about it. He's like, what the hell?
Yep.
What's happening? Am I this Todd asshole? Am I not really Basil Carlo? I'm pretty sure I am. And he sees like on the TV as he's going past like the stores and stuff, it's like, hey, reformed actor's got this incredible story. He's been apprehended by Batman, but he's turned over a new leaf, and now he's a successful actor. It's a success story for the ages, and there's images of him at movie premieres with actresses and all these different roles that he's in. I don't know. It's just it's just like a fun little montage, and you can just see like our main Clayface like reacting to this and just looking frustrated, and be like, what the hell's going on?
When he comes out in essentially the Times Square of Gotham,
yes,
and there's all these billboards with The Hit, that's where I was like, what the hell? Like, they're dropping us right into this new, status quo of Clayface, the actor.
Yeah.
And we're figuring it out the same time as he is.
The funny thing is that the only reason why this might be in continuity, because I would just assume it isn't, is because of the Arkham Tower thing.
Yeah.
But even that's got that weird detail. There's two of them, but I'm pretty sure there's always just been one.
Yeah.
So.
But maybe it was so successful they bought the building next door. Right? They've been rehabbing people. But yeah, like we're fighting this all out at the same time as he is, which I do like.
It's a good mystery.
Plot device.
Yeah, he's questioning who he is because he thinks he's Basil Carlo, but now he's starting to doubt it. And if he is really Basil Carlo, he's looking up at this guy pretending to be him, who's successful, and how frustrating that must be because he actually wants to be an actor.
Yeah.
He wants this success, and if he isn't, then it's this idea of him like going down this rabbit hole only to discover that he's not who he thinks he is, and that's like a psychological story worth telling as well. So both possibilities are interesting. That said, though, I'm inclined to think the one we're following is Basil Carlo, because the final sequence shows us we cut to LA in California, and we basically see on like a big fancy house in the hills. This is where the actor, quote unquote, Basil Carlo is living, and he's invited a lady friend over to see it. He's got like creepy black gloves on, like he's going to be a serial killer, and then like he gets menacing, and basically
it's
says,
very American Psycho, right?
Yeah, it's very American Psycho. There's a little bit of not so much the plot of what's happening, but it was making me think of Body Double because of the house they're in. It was very a similar type of house,
and that can't be an accident, right? It is called Celebrity Dirt, so like
yeah,
I feel like that's the vibe that they're going, is that kind of noirish.
Yeah. Also, Body Double. Listen to that title, Body Double.
Yes.
What does Clayface do normally?
Yes. So can't be.
Yeah, so basically this whole thing where he's like eyeing up her bracelet, and then you get this just wide panel of a scream, because he leans in and says, Maria, do you want to see something that you've never seen before? And then you just get this scream text going across the city, and then the final page is just that bracelet sitting on what looks like clay on the floor, just on its own, as if her body's just been like decimated.
Yep.
And the implication from the opening scene, which we didn't really talk about, was like a PA or whoever it is in a movie set basically finds an actress in her dressing room, and she's like just turned into a puddle of clay. So I think the implication is whoever this Clayface is that's pretending to be Basil Carlo, again, assuming it's not actually him, because I don't think it is, it seems like he is turning people into clay like him, but they don't get to stay being Clayface like him, though. They just kind of melt into clay and that's it, they're dead. But that seems to be how he's killing them based on the opening and starting scenes of this issue.
Yeah. So here's my thing. With what we know about Basil, he was when he becomes Clayface, right? He only starts killing because of he became a monster, right? He wasn't like a murderer. He was an actor.
Yeah. Well, that's why early on I said I genuinely don't think this actor who's successful is actually Basil, just because this closing scene makes it seem like, no, he's just a psychotic serial killer, and that's not Basil's MO typically.
No, but Hagen, right? Hagen was a mob guy, correct?
Yes,
that's what we learned in Batman and Robin when he popped in there, when Wade used him in year one. And then the other, I'm not familiar with the one that they're claiming. This is him, the third one, the Todd.
Yeah. Well, okay, so it'd be funny if it was like the one that's not been mentioned, Matt Hagen's the one that's actually the imposter. But it would make some sense for it to be him on a meta level, because that's the Clayface that's in the movie that's coming out in October.
Yep.
So if this ends around then with a reveal that this is actually Matt Hagen, that would be like a weird little tie-in to the movie.
And just the idea of identity, that if they're all Clayface, like this doctor is proposing, right? Like there was one Clayface and now they're all offshoots of it. It's like, well...
Oh, here's an idea. What if at some point they all mixed? Like they were in the same place, they went into one big tub of goo, and they separated, and then they don't realize till later, wait a minute, we all have a little bit of each other, like all mixed in.
And that's it. And that's what is Clayface. It's everyone's Clayface, right? They're some of their parts. And that's why. So they're all Clayface, but all not the Clayface. Either way, I'm in on this, because
this was good.
This was genuinely funny, because there's also a point where when he gets out and he comes out of the sewer and he's in that Times Square, he goes up to one of like the newsstands and he's like, all this going, how come Batman hasn't stopped this?
That was a funny line.
And the guy's like, I don't know, he's got other crazies to deal with in Gotham. Why would he mess with an actor? You know?
That was a funny line. Plus, you've got all the cool horror movie style art, and then I think the mystery is generally quite fun. Like, obviously, we have theorized a couple things, and it might not be any of those things, it may be something else, but it's fun to think about because it's actually compelling.
It was a good way to kick off the story, because there's a bunch of different hooks, and we're already really invested in Clayface as a character. But I feel like if you weren't, I feel like this would get you in real quick with that mystery of who is the real Clayface. You know, why is all this happening? How did how did Salazar Carlo get reformed? Right? You know, I want to know all of that too. So, because they also bring up that he came out as he was abusing that drug that gave him the powers, the Renew, right? And that's why he's like that. And he just stopped doing it, and he reformed into a human. I was like, not being Clayface has been a lot more difficult. I don't think you just stop.
Yeah.
Right. So there is stuff in there knowing the character.
My guess would be that like that's why he's killing people. He's basically stealing, like, in the same way that's like a witch will steal like a young person's youth and kill them to keep living. Yep. I'm wondering if it's like that, where like he's melting these people into clay, and that's letting him stay human for another week or whatever it is.
But what if he's assimilating them into them, so now they're also Clayface? Like too?
Well, I don't think they're alive though. It seems like they're pretty dead.
Right, the physical bodies, right? But what if like whatever makes them Clayface?
Oh, okay.
Right? You know what I mean? Like they're assimilating into this big, huge... Because I definitely feel like all the horror movie stuff, I feel like we're going to get some Cronenbergian body horror going on later. Because there's even a Brundle reference I picked up on. Like one of the things in there, which is the name of the Jeff Goldblum fly scientist. So I feel like it's going to get pretty icky as this goes. So, but yeah, no, I am fully here for this.
Yeah, no, it was very good. I had no idea what to expect because I didn't really know the creative team, so I just kind of went in cold. But it was pretty damn good. So, what are you giving issue 1 of Clayface Celebrity Dirt? I
am giving this a 9.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Ooh, I don't know if I'm going as high as a 9. Like, I mean, I liked it a lot. I had a lot of fun.
I thoroughly enjoyed it.
I think I'll just go with an 8 on this, but it was very good. I had a good time. One of the best books I read this week. So, cool. The Fury of Firestorm, issue 4. Jeff Lemire writing with Rafael de la Torre on the art. So, honestly, the most negative thing I can say about this issue, right, is that last issue...
It wasn't long enough.
Well, last issue we both gave the last issue a 10, and this is not that good. Okay, that's just... No. That's it. That's the complaint.
But it's still so... I've never thought, again, Firestorm could be this compelling. I want more Firestorm lore. I hate Dr. Stein. I did not care about Dr. Stein before this book started. Yeah. And now I cannot stand the man.
Well, the whole thing here is that this is basically the conversation between... Oh, I'm forgetting her name. Lorraine, thank you. Lorraine and Dr. Stein. And she's basically, like, in her narration at the start, talking about how her and Ronnie kind of became a couple and they seem perfect for each other, but they burn fast and bright and so on and so on. And basically, like, as Stein's, like, talking about, oh, I needed a father figure, I gave him that. Is that so bad? Because we're accomplishing good things, The government wanted our own breed of superhumans, and it was me and Will Magnus and what's his face from Doom Patrol? Niles Calder.
Niles Calder.
You know, this weird group of ragtag scientists and experimental dudes.
This is what I love about Lemire, is that he's taking this era of DC Comics, of all these sci-fi heroes, right? You have the Doom Patrol, who are kind of a reaction to the X-Men, right? You have the Metal Men and that sci-fi kind of stuff. Metamorpho, because you have Simon Stagg as part of that group as well, who's that archaeologist. Weird. So they're all from a certain era of DC where they were playing with science. And then you have Firestorm, who's the 80s version of that, you know? And they're all part of this program to make, as part of Project Superman, which I appreciate Lemire bringing that back around, because that was a piece of Doomsday Clock, right? That there was all these governments trying to make their own Superman. And then we see the outcome of that with the Metal Men and Metamorpho, which now makes me question about the Metamorpho kind of stuff too. The ties of Stag and him trying to get the Orb of Ra and whatnot. And then with the Doom Patrol and what we know about him, because it's always been that Calder, at least in the versions that I've read, everyone knows that Calder was kind of a jerk and that he was using them for his own means. So at least he was out front about it from the beginning, unlike Stein. But yeah, just Lemire pulling from those different eras of the comics.
Well, the point
I really appreciate
this gets to, though, is that when he's explaining all this stuff and she's calling them out on it, she eventually just kind of like has this moment of realization, like, because she's like, "Oh, you're a manipulative little man," or whatever, right? And she basically is like, "Wait a minute, what? Like, was my accident an accident? Like, you know, was I created?" And basically she kind of clocks this idea, because he kind of alludes to it once, because he doesn't really give her a proper answer, that, and the way she puts it is how I was kind of thinking of it, is that they basically created her as like his Bride of Frankenstein. Like, if Firestorm, if Ronnie's the Frankenstein monster, which is the creation of Stein, then she's kind of like, oh, like we'll give him like a companion, something that'll help control him and keep him calm or whatever. And I'm like, oh, this is actually interesting. So now she has her own agency and her own anger of like, no, this wasn't just him you've manipulated, you also manipulated me. And it puts in context all that stuff in the first chunk of the issue about her talking about her past with Ronnie and like how great a romance it was. And while it did kind of burn out and it ended, it was this perfect, beautiful thing. And the art there is gorgeous, by the way, where they're kissing and they're both lighting up, and then the big explosion in the sky. Gorgeous stuff, right? Gorgeous. With
the blues and the whatnot. Yeah. And the idea too that she doesn't use the Firestorm Matrix. Her power is descent from a different thing. Yeah. So it's like Stein even removed that from it to make her, you know, not as volatile. Because he always kind of theorized that like they needed two, that he was meant to be the fail-safe with Stein, and that, you know, he always proposed like something like that could happen, but it wouldn't, right? And that's again the arrogance of man against, you know, nature and whatnot. Yeah. It's very curious that she didn't have it.
To go back to a line from Chernobyl, why worry about something that's not going to happen? That's the line. Yeah. So the thing here is that for me is that he basically, it's his arrogance, and she's like, what was the fail-safe? And he's like, I was the fail-safe, but once obviously Ronnie found out what I did to him, he kind of shut me out. He tried to control the Firestorm Matrix on his own, and it's basically taking control, and he is in there, but the Matrix itself is now sentient and uncaring and all the rest of it. But yeah, her like confronting him and asking about her own origin, and like, you know, I thought we were meant for each other, but it was all kind of this thing that was orchestrated, right? Because earlier on in the issue she talks about how, you know, opposites attract, and maybe that's why we cared about each other so much. But then later on, when she's sort of recounting this, now knowing that it was all kind of set up, she's like, what makes two molecules attract? Lies. That's what makes them attract. So it paints this really horrible picture of everything. And then Stein's kind of like, oh, the accident that created Firehawk, I engineered it through the Superman project. I used others, distanced myself from it, but I was the one pulling the strings. So he wasn't there with the bomb like he was with Ronnie, but he was still the one setting it up. And
he still drew up the plans.
Yeah, so the Bride of Frankenstein comparison is actually the most apt thing that I think is in here, honestly.
Because she was there to control him. It was an extra lever, right?
But he is like, okay, there was like one maybe thing that he was working on that could maybe help. And at this point, she's like, she's fired up. She's got the blue hair. She's full powers. She's threatening him. And he's like, okay, I was working on something in the barn. It's like basically a prototype. It's a whole thing. We have to get it close to him. It's this thing that he's built out of batteries and generators and whatnot. But he does point out that they have to get close to him with it, and there's nothing stopping Firestorm from just turning around and turning it into water because he can just transmute it anytime he wants. But it's the one shot we've got. It's the one thing we can maybe do. Yep. And basically, she's like, okay, let's fly it to Pittsburgh, which is where Firestorms went. And he's like, oh, this thing weighs like a ton. Like, you don't have super strength. So, smash cut to the panel of them driving across country with this giant generator thing strapped to the top of the car.
How'd they get it up on the car? It was on the floor. If she doesn't have super strength.
The ramps and stuff, I don't know.
Okay.
Like, maybe she could probably pick it up for a little bit, but I think the point he was making, can you carry that and me all the way to Pittsburgh? So
yeah, I get that, but it was very funny to me where it's like, well, you can't carry that, you don't have super strength type vibes, and then it's smash cut to it being on the car and them driving and her going, this better work.
Well, for a start, I bet both of them were lifting it when they were putting it on the car.
Yeah, but Pete, he said it weighs like a ton. That's still a lot of weight for two. A feeble old man as the other person.
All right, a forklift, a little crane. I mean, there's ways, there's things you can use to lift up heavy objects.
It was very funny.
A pulley system of some kind, a rudimentary pulley system.
Yeah.
He's Martin Stein. He can engineer a goddamn mechanical system to lift something heavy.
Yeah. I just thought, again, that was very funny.
Oh dear. Anyway, so yeah, they're driving to Pittsburgh, and they're hearing on the radio that Firestorm, because we never see Firestorm in this issue outside of the flashbacks that she obviously brings up. But we never see present day Firestorm. We just sort of hear a bit in the radio about what's going on, and that was the big thing last issue. Was like, hey, he's going to Pittsburgh. He's out of the small town and he's going to a major city. So the one thing we do get at the end, though, is a little tease, a little cliffhanger for next time, is in Pittsburgh. He seems to have formed a big crystal that he's currently inside of in the middle of the city, and we see some soldiers and tanks looking up at it, and it's like this monolith almost. It's about as tall as, I wouldn't call them skyscrapers, but like 15, 20-story buildings, give or take.
A big building, yeah. And also just them looking up at it goes, Firestorm's in there. Just like, oh my god, the doom. The sense of doom.
Yeah, when he wakes up, when he comes out of this cocoon he's built himself, like, what's he going to actually do? That's, terrifying. Yeah. So there's a sense of existential dread, like a nuclear bomb's going to go off. Yeah, that's here, and that's been maintained, even though this issue focuses almost entirely on just this conversation between Lorraine and Stein and the flashbacks and her kind of coming to terms with her part in all this. So. No, it's interesting. It's interesting to see how she now reacts and like what she's going to do going forward, knowing that because if she's going to try and appeal to Ronnie in there by like sort of bringing up their past, like surely that's going to be conflicting now because she knows that it's kind of a lie. Like it's they did feel things for each other, but it was orchestrated and isn't as pure as she thought it was initially. Yeah,
but she even said like he wore her down in the way that when she first met him, he had like this frat boy arrogance to him. Right, that she ended up finding endearing. Like she, so over time stuff was real. Like, yeah, the circumstances that led to the meeting, right, are cooked. But everything happened to them, as it were, right? Like, they still have their relationship, and she might feel sorry about that. But I feel like once Ronnie comes back around, I feel like she's gonna be like, no, that's my stupid boyfriend, type deal. At least I hope so. I hope. Given that Lemire doesn't work on hope that often, maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah, I mean, this was character development. This was because this did a lot with her in like issue 1 or 2, and then she kind of disappeared for an issue where we focused on Firestorm stuff. So it was nice to come back to like a full issue of her getting development. Because it's really cool to like suddenly care about Firehawk. Because like, if you'd asked me who Firehawk was before this book, I probably would have looked at you with a blank stare in my eyes.
No, she would have been like a trivia answer, like who's Firestorm's superhero girlfriend. Like I might be able to pull Firehawk, but I didn't know she was a senator's daughter, right? I didn't know she got powers similar to him through an experiment, right? But just through Lemire writing her, this version of her, I really like. You know, her going through and wanting to fix this, you know, and feeling like, well, I have the power to do so, so I must. You know, I do. She's grown on me.
Yeah, and I have to just reiterate that title page with the explosion in the sky of them. What I assume that's just them having an orgasm in the sky and just the explosion that erupts from it, because it's just, you know, they're making out in the previous page, and it's just the blue and the red, or blue and orange kind of colors all coming out, and they're both kind of starting to sparkle, and then just boom, just boom in that page.
Yeah, man. I was trying to explain Firestorm to my wife last night when we were eating dinner, because this was the last book I had to read, because I do save this one for last. And, you know, just trying to explain that character. She's like, I've never heard you talk about Firestorm before. I was like, I know. That's what's great. Is over these 4 issues, it's become something that I actively look forward to. And I keep going back that when this was announced, we were kind of bummed out. Like, oh, Jeff Lemire's doing a Firestorm book. And now we're just like, oh, Jeff Lemire's done a Firestorm book. And
it's the best Jeff Lemire book in years. Like,
yes,
what happened?
Absolutely.
What happened? But
so.
It's happy to say that though. This is the best outcome for something like this, where it just kind of blindsides you into something that feels special and still feels special 4 issues in. So yeah. Look, is there a debate to say that this could be the weakest of the 4 issues? I mean, maybe, but I mean, I don't feel it in like any sort of strong way where I'm like, it's definitely the weakest of the 4. Like,
no,
like
it doesn't feel like a bridge issue where it's like, oh, we have to do this to get to this. This felt like her coming to terms with her relationship and her identity as well. Like,
it's probably a bit on par with issue 2, because I think issue 3 we both gave a 10, so clearly we think that's the best issue. I think issue 1 was fantastic, so that's second, and then this and issue 2 are both about on par, I would say. But no, excellent stuff. What are you giving Fury of Firestorm issue 4?
Oh, this one's getting a 9.
Yep, I agree with that. 9 out of 10. Easy peasy. All right. And that will take us on to the final part of the show, where we pick our favourite stuff of the week, favourite panel/moment, favourite cover, favourite art, and of course, top 5 books. So, Matt, what is your panel/moment of the week?
All right, so, I mean, the Grim reveal and Absolute Batman's pretty good. I did like that one page in Barbara Gordon Breakout that split down 4 ways, you know, and really played with the color. But mine's going to be from Clayface, Celebrity Dirt, and it's when he yells, how come Batman's not doing anything about this? And that was so funny.
Like, good.
That was a good, that's mine.
That was good. Yeah, I'm tempted to pick from that book. I mean, I think Fury of Firestorm, I could pick the explosion in the sky for the love making. I could pick the reveal of the deranged looking Harley Quinn mum and, you know, Dr. Arkham and an Absolute Batman. I think, though, I'm going to go with Clayface as well, but I'm going to go with when Clayface is on the ceiling above the guard, because I just love that page. Just super horror movie vibes into it. So that is my pick. For covers this week, I want to put out a cover that I want to like, but I don't like it that much, funnily enough.
Okay.
There's a variant for Barbara Gordon Breakout by Christian Wildgoose, which I love the concept of what the cover is. I just don't think the art's actually that good, which is a shame.
Yeah, because it's got the spotlight with it making the Batgirl silhouette.
Yeah. It's just I don't like the art on her face or her body at all. It just isn't my preference.
She has a weird haircut. That's not what her hair looks like.
Yeah, why does she have bangs and why does she look blonde? These are all questions I have. Regular Firestorm cover is very good. I'll also shout out a variant for Firestorm by Raza, which looks really cool. It's like almost like Firestorm's ripping in half and the nuclear symbols inside. Really pretty. I'm torn between 2 for my favorite of the week. I've got 2 more that I want to bring up. One's my favorite and one isn't. I think I will say my runner-up is Supergirl variant by Chris Anka, which is Supergirl against just this orange background. And it's got this kind of red velvety painted look to her cape and her skirt, and it just, you know, the hair's kind of almost blended into the background. It's really nice. My pick of the week, though, is a variant for Clayface Celebrity Dirt by Dave Johnson, which looks like an old horror movie poster with Clayface sort of breaking out of like these prison bars, but it's like a white background like Texas Chainsaw. It just looks really cool.
Yeah.
And it's got the fold lines as if it's a poster that's been folded. That's cool stuff. So what's your cover of the week?
So for the sake of brevity, that's also my pick.
Okay.
For all the reasons that you mentioned. It looks like an old poster. It reminds me of Texas Chainsaw, like a lot. And when you think about Leatherface and Clayface, it does, the names do work out real well. But one of the other ones I wanted to mention that you didn't was a Supergirl variant, but it's the Carl Kerschel. And it's got Supergirl going up against the sky, and there's the clouds on the bottom. And just like, you can kind of see like the wind lines as she's going up through there. And she's in the traditional costume. I just think it's a real nice image. But yeah, no, it's that Clayface cover. Like, that's so solid.
Cool. All right. What's your art of the week?
Firestorm. I'm not going to pretend.
Yep.
It is Rafael Dell'Edera. That said, I was a big fan of the Clayface art as well.
Yeah, Clayface art was good for sure.
Fran, Galan.
But Firestorm's winning for me as well. So there you go. And then top 5 books. On you go.
All right, so 1 is Firestorm, 2 is Clayface, 3 is Absolute Batman, 4 is Breakout, and 5 is... What did I give those other ones? I can't remember. I guess that makes 5 Supergirl.
Okay. My number 1 is Firestorm. My number 2 is Clayface, Celebrity Dirt. Number 3 is Absolute Batman. Number 4 is Barbara Gordon Breakout, and number 5 is Absolute Catwoman. Going by the numbers, so fair enough. That's that. I will now tell you what's coming out from DC next week, although I'll remind you as I'm saying this that we will not have an episode next week, but we will do all of next week's books on week 5 of this month when there's almost no other books out, right? That is the plan. So, because we were going to take a week off at the end of the month anyway, because the week 5 only had like 1 book that I was planning on reading and maybe 2 for Matt, and just letting them linger. But now what we'll do, since Matt can't record next week, we'll do all of week 3's books on week 5. So when we come back, we'll be doing all of week 4 books, but I'll tell you what's coming out on week 3 now, because that's what's next week. So week 3's books are as follows, everyone. Absolute Green Arrow, Absolute Flash 17, Nightwing 140, Batman Superman World's Finest 53, New Titans 37, Lobo number 5, Wonder Woman 35, Batwoman issue 5, Deathstroke, The Terminator issue 5, Superman Unlimited issue 15, Catwoman 89, and Dark Knights of Steel 2 issue 1. Oh, and End of Life issue 4 as well. I almost missed that one.
6,
yes.
Yes.
Why did I say 4? I don't know why I said 4.
I don't know. Maybe because you were looking at Showcase 4
maybe
next to it.
Maybe that's what I was looking at. Yeah, that's a reprint though, a facsimile edition, which I don't usually mention those. All right, so that's what's coming out next week. But again, we will be doing all those books 2 weeks later, right? So we'll be back in 2 weeks with all of week 4's books, because they will be the new books, and then week after that we'll do all of week 3's books, and which. That would be a problem if there was some kind of weekly event going on already, but there isn't, so it shouldn't actually make a difference to anything we say in next week's books, or 2 weeks from now books. Anyway, right, I'm sure it makes sense. So no episode next week, but we'll get all those books done. Basically, we're delaying next week's episode by 2 weeks. It's effectively what's happening. So that's what's happening. Hopefully that made sense. But that is the show, everyone. That has been Comics from the Multiverse. You can support the show over at patreon.com/MailFuzzTV. It helps keep everything coming, including all the other content that I do with the movie reviews and things like that. But for this show in particular, you get a little bit early access to the show whenever it's ready late on a Saturday night, which, I mean, depending on your time zone, might be very, very late. But it'll be there for you when you get up on Sunday if you want it a little bit early. You get access now to 2 ongoing classic reviews. We've been doing Alan Moore's Swamp Thing. We already did all of Barbara Gordon's or Batgirl Year 1. And we're just starting this coming week Gotham Central. So there's going to be Alan Moore's Swamp Thing and Gotham Central alternating. You get one of those, each of those every month, and that'll be going on. So so some bonus stuff there. But mainly you're helping keep the show coming. So thanks to everyone who already does support us. It is greatly appreciated. But that is us. That is Comics from the Multiverse. And this episode is clocking in at about 2 hours, which feels so short after those last 2 mammoth episodes we did.
Yeah, I love it. I like a breezy 2 hour get in, get out, talk comic books, and we're good to go.
2 hours feels nice. Yeah, that one 2 weeks ago, because we were catching up on books. I mean, the last 2 episodes we were catching up on books, but the first of the 2 was like 4 hours long once it was all put together, which was insane. So
you mad people, thank you for venturing through that, but man,
hey,
that's a lot.
the timestamps are there, so some of them probably just skip to the books that they care about, and that's fair enough. But like, you know, that's why they're there after all. But anyway, that is the show, everyone. Thank you very much for joining us. Also, maybe I don't promote this enough, but like on the YouTube page, if for some reason, like say you're not reading that book, so you're always skipping that book on the podcast, on the YouTube page, the show also gets cut up into individual videos, so there's playlists for all the series, so you can just go to the Nightwing series, and like everything from issue 1 from 2016 all the way down to the latest Dan Waters issue is there in a playlist. So you can just watch that way if you want on YouTube. So worth looking at if that sounds of interest to you. So fun. At least I think it's all one playlist. I mean, David runs that. Maybe he split it up when the new volume starts. I don't know, but regardless, either way, it's an easy way to like just listen to one series of reviews. But that is the show, everyone. Thank you for joining us. We do appreciate it. Keep reading DC Comics, and remember to never get lost in the Speed Force.